Hello, hello, and welcome back to Persephone Says. I am so excited today. We're going to be talking a little bit about things that people don't like to talk about when owning a business. So I'm asked this all the time, or I have these conversations almost in secret or in private circumstances. And I feel like that needs to be a little bit exposed. Because if we can't talk among each other openly, it can feel incredibly isolating. And I have felt that a lot for the past 6 years. So I figured I would just share some of my own experiences and hope that it connects. Hopefully that you can take something away from it. So let's start from the top. You know, when you start a business, there are lots of people that seemingly are championing you, your friends, your family. And one thing that, if you listen to the last episode, Eddie and I discussed a little bit, is that your friends who start with you are very likely not going to be there throughout the journey or throughout the process. And you are likely to lose a couple of people along the way. And I think that that is a really hard thing to accept. You are surrounded by people that you think love you, right? The people that have been wanting to see you thrive. And I think that has really been a common denominator among so many other business owners that I know. So it's something that I think if you know that that is likely to happen, then you're prepared for it and less shocked by it, though I'm sure the sting is still what it is. But I also think the other flip side of that is you find that people who don't even know you, like deeply, are championing you. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, why is that? What's up with that? So I feel like those two pieces are pretty consistent for a lot of business owners. I think another piece is that when you are starting and growing the business, for me, I have found that, it all starts and ends with me. And my team is really the people behind the brand making things happen. I like to say that you have to hire smarter people than yourself in order to really grow and thrive. And I really firmly believe that. However, for all of those who are seeing you at the front as the face of the brand, you become both the most beloved and the villain at the same exact time. And you have to have peace with the fact that that is just the reality of the situation. I came to accept that, though struggled with that as I shared, this in the past, I've really needed this desire to be beloved, which we will continue to unravel together. But I have found that, I have to make hard decisions. I have to make hard business decisions, regardless of whether I like someone, I don't like them, or say even in a working relationship with a client, it's just not working because they're being a troll. Like we as the face of the business then become the villain. And I've made peace with that because at the end of the day, my job is to make sure that I am providing security for my company, for my family, and making sound decisions that are really going to get us, to the goals and achieve the things that I want to achieve. So, but at the same time, it's hard because, we had to make some big changes, and those big changes meant firing a bunch of people. And firing a bunch of people that I really liked, and some that just hadn't evolved with us. And I mean, at the end of the day, I'm the bitch. I'm the bitch no matter what. And it doesn't matter if I was the last one to make the decision. That's generally not the case, but that's just what it is. And again, like, you have to be able to feel comfortable and confident with the decisions you make and own them. And so, again, I guess I'll be the bitch until I sell this company. It's fine. You know, in the same vein, as I shared, we've made some transitions. We've really up-leveled the clients that we're working with, and subsequently we've needed to up-level our employees to match that energy, which is very normal. It's very normal in any growing business. And there's this acceptance that I've needed to come to terms with, both from a client and an employee perspective, where, you know, what got you here is not necessarily going to get you there. And I'm finding that, you know, one of the best pieces of advice that I could possibly give to anybody is that some of your first hires should be people who are so nimble and also more comfortable with wearing multiple hats, like more of a Jack or Jill of all trades, if you will. I find that those people have become some of the most incredible assets, and they've evolved with me. They've evolved with the teams that they've worked with. And I feel like those people, like, you keep those people and you hold them close. And I'm sure I'll share some of those people as we go. However, there's also this acceptance of like, oh my gosh, I know this client has worked with us for 4 years, but like they no longer are our ideal client avatar or ideal buyer type. And we're out of alignment and we're out of proportion of the service that we're offering and their needs. And that is like very confusing. It's confusing because you still love them, you still appreciate them, you worked with them, and it's like this misalignment. So I think last year in particular, I needed to just accept that that's okay. And that, you know, in order to take a big giant leap forward, that it's okay if the bottom falls off and churns, and that's okay, even though it sucks. It is how we grow. And to that end leads me to my next recommendation of keeping your eyes open, which is, it's important to be positive. I'm extremely, extremely optimistic, but it's also, and I'm the type that gives people the benefit of the doubt. In the past, I've given maybe too many chances to some people, but particularly with our clients, I have found that I have given the benefit of the doubt, sometimes to my own detriment. And to our employees as well, same thing. And what I will say about that is, it is really important to have a human relationship with your employees, with your clients, all of those things. Like, we work with people that we like. We buy from people that we like. We work with people that we like and are able to foster deeper connections with people in that capacity. However, the trust but verify is the most important recommendation I can possibly offer, because what I found was that as my business was growing, and some of those people who were like, I'm going to say your name in a room, even when you're not in there. I'm going to champion you. I'm going to tell everyone about you. And they did, until my business became as large or larger than theirs. And then it became something else. And I didn't want to accept that the relationship had changed. It happens. It's weird, because I'm like, but I've changed because I'm growing, but I haven't changed in my relationship with you and how I feel about you and my love back to you, because I do feel like working dynamics, regardless of if they are employees or clients or whatever they are, like, I feel like that balance of energy needs to be there as much as humanly possible. However, it happens, and I experienced it so many times where it's like the same people that I just like adored and loved and fought for and wanted to give them extra opportunities as I was getting, amazing new opportunities as well. it was like, oh shit, they are not fucking with me anymore. Like, did I do something? Like, is it me? Might be. Might be, but also sometimes it's them. Sometimes it's not us. Sometimes it's fucking them. And I don't know. I'm not a person who fundamentally feels envy as an emotion. I think it's ugly. And so it's hard for me to understand the psychology behind someone experiencing that. So we're just going to put that there. The more you know, it's better to keep your eyes open. So in that same vein, I found that with similar people, like some of the relationships that I'm describing, those that I champion the most, started to take advantage. And you know, at the beginning, those people were the ones who were my cheerleaders. So I'm like, they're not taking advantage of me. They love me. Like, again, you see how I just wove a web for myself that I'm currently unraveling. I think I've unraveled a good amount of it, but it was so hard for me to accept the fact that someone could be operating in a place of not malice, but just something else, that they could be taking advantage of me, the way that they talk to my team, the way that what they were paying. Like, when things became disproportionate, I was afraid, like, oh my God, what if these people leave me? Like, what if they don't work with me? Is my business going to combust? Fucking kidding me? Like, I feel like the delusion I had and placed so much value on other people's validation of me, and me meaning my company, was what kind of rocked my own boat. And I didn't even realize how much power I was giving to other people on my own success or the success of my company. Like, what if they leave? Then they're making space for someone better to enter the chat. And that has continuously been the case for me. And, you know, it happens. It happens a lot, actually. You know, one thing that I've learned, especially towards the end of last year, and still learning, is that, you know, when we were like, and still are growing, we're so in the weeds of like trying to fix or strategize or work on or improve, like in my existing house, that I wasn't in a state of constantly hiring and assessing. And so I really suggest that even if you aren't hiring or the need isn't for today, that you're always looking, because you never know. At any time, things can change. And having all your eggs reside within one or two people can make you really in a place of vulnerability that could be to your detriment. So we have now started to always be looking, always be interviewing. I feel like every single week at this point, we're hiring or interviewing at least, so that we can be ready when there's an opportunity to again grow. That adage of, you know, hire slow, fire fast, like, we're there. You know, last year, as a result of need, I wanted to achieve and launch so many different projects all at the same time, and I shared with all of the wrong people. And as I reflected, and of course wanted to make sure that I wasn't, you know, making the same mistakes twice or what have you, I realized that the planning and evolving that I do for other companies, I really needed to take a step back and take my own medicine and apply my own strategies for myself, which sounds so stupid. But I would say, I would imagine that it's the same as if you are a florist and you're constantly producing events for other people, that during the holidays, like your house is the last one to have a single decoration because you are pouring into everyone else's joy and happiness and love and, memories. I think I got to that place quite a bit, even though I'm not saying we weren't doing quarterly reviews or whatever. It's just, I wasn't assessing the way that we do for our clients with, key performance indicators or a really firm plan and revenue strategies and new tactics and new strategies and assessing what we've done and pivoting. No matter the size of your business, some of the most successful small businesses that we work with operate like large businesses. And one person among many, but one person that I will be bringing on here over the next couple of weeks is one of my dearest friends, Julian Lever of Julian Lever Events, who has really done exactly this and has been able to scale appropriately. And, I've learned a lot and feel smarter and sharper in how I can guide both his company and other venues that we work with and just other clients that we work with as a result, because it's like, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. If you're not always tinkering, then you become stagnant, or then it's like something collides and where you are forced to relook at what you're doing. And so always be, making sure that you're pouring back into yourself and your own business and your own strategies and plans. I feel like that's really key. No one likes to talk about money in business, or actually, let me rephrase that. I think that people are trepidatious, particularly women, not blanketing, but I will say particularly women are trepidatious to talk about money publicly. And I'm not at all. However, I will say that you really need to always understand where your money is, even if that's not your jam. That's where you need to hire. If you don't understand how to balance your books, you don't understand finance, and you're trying to take all these other inputs in, you're trying to learn social media, and that's really not the most important thing. You have to understand and be able to assess on a baseline level where your money is or isn't, where there are gaps, how you can be saving, and whether that's an accountant, whether that's a fractional CFO, it is essential. It is essential. And I feel like business owners get really fucked over if they start any other way. And then, lastly, I feel that it's really easy to go to lots of networking events and meet lots of people. And as you're building, and even if you're 10, 15, 30 years into running a property or just working, for someone else, I feel like finding a safe space of people that you can completely be yourself and vent openly and honestly is so important. I cannot even say that enough, because we really are doing so much at all times. We are especially as a woman, I've got my kids, I've got my husband, I've got my friends, I've got my family, I've got my business, I've got my employees, I've got I'm fucking tired. So I need to be able to let the air out among somebody or a couple of somebodies, and simultaneously make sure that I'm protecting the inputs and protecting your energy at the same time. So yes, vent, but also make sure that the group, the crew, the one or two people that you are being completely yourself, completely transparent with, are also light. Because I think sometimes when we are in a bad state of mind. We are wanting to be among other people who are like, yeah, fuck this year, fuck this situation or whatever. And it can only actually just reside in lower vibration and keep you at like a state of negativity for so much longer. I'm a big person who believes in energy, like attracts like, good attracts good. And so I'm not saying to be delusional and say like, I'm so happy or I'm feeling whatever when you're feeling pissed or angry or frustrated or whatever, like give that time, but also make sure that you're very cognizant of who is allowed to actually enter in your sphere. And even if it's one or two people only, one or two people is a fucking win. One or two good people is a win in my book. I feel like we're carrying a lot of people throughout life that it's like, do you really deserve to be next to me? I don't know. I don't know if you have all those good intentions, especially now I've got a business and you're not calling to check on me. I'm texting you. I'm busy as fuck. Like, what's going on? Wake up. Things are about to get buck. And even if you're, like I said, multiple years in, or even just, working for someone else, like all of these things really do apply. So I'd love to hear which one resonates the most with you. And thank you for listening. And I will see you again soon.